So on pages 13 and 14 of the indictment against Donald Trump, the federal indictment, the DOJ and the Office of Special Counsel Jack Smith detail an instance they say happened in December of 2021 when Trump aide Walt Nauta opened the door of a storage room at Mar-a-Lago to find classified documents strewn across the floor. The DOJ says Nauta then texted this image to another Trump employee. Redacted from this picture is the classified information found on at least one of the documents here marked with a Five Eyes designation.
That's unbelievable. Meaning
the information is so sensitive that it can only be shared with the intel agencies in Australia, Canada, the UK, and New Zealand. And here it is on the floor of a storage room inside of a Florida country club. And it's so open to access that one of Trump's workers could take a picture of it and text it to someone else who works there.
Which they did.
Which they did. Joining us now, Democratic Congresswoman Elissa Slotkin of Michigan. She is a former CIA analyst. She's also a candidate for U.S. Senate. It's very good to have you on the show this morning. Your reaction to what's found in this indictment?
Well, look, I mean, I think there's been lots of talk about it, but it had extremely sensitive information. Anytime you have top secret information, anytime you have Five Eyes information, what you were just speaking about, it just indicates that what's contained in there is not only sensitive information about war plans or our nuclear architecture or a whole bunch of other sensitive things, but also an indication on how we collected that information, the sources and methods that got us that information. That could be a human being who's very close to someone, a senior leader. That can be a wiretap. That can be secret satellite imagery. And once that information gets out into the public, the people who are being talked about in that piece of intelligence can somehow know, well, I know who gave them that. We can see people killed, you can see people ostracized, you can see people have to be removed from the countries that they're living in. So it's a very sensitive issue, not just on what was in the papers, but how we collected it.
Congresswoman, good morning. It's good to have you on. Given your background in the CIA and at the Department of Defense, I'm curious about what you think some of the reaction from Republicans, including from Senator Marco Rubio, who could, if you win your race to become a senator, could become your colleague in the Senate. He's the ranking Republican on the Intelligence Committee, and his reaction has been to say, what was the damage? What was this stolen and sold to the Iranians, sold to the Saudis, given over to the Russians, suggesting maybe he took all this stuff with him. Maybe it was sitting in boxes in a bathroom at his beach club. But what was really the damage? What's your reaction to that?
I mean, my reaction as someone who had briefed that committee many times is like, if you had the ranking member of that committee 10 years ago saying something like that, I would have just fallen over, right? I mean, it's just anyone who is trained to handle classified information knows how carefully we manage it. And the implications here is that it doesn't matter if you take classified home. It doesn't matter if you keep it on your kitchen table. What matters is who you leak it to and the damage that it's done. And that is a slippery slope for anyone who has a clearance. That means someone, a random staffer like the guy in Cape Cod can just take it home and use it as they see fit, put it on the internet, and if it doesn't cause damage, that is just, first of all, that's not true. It's not legal to take classified home. Secondly, to hear someone who's in a position of authority, who oversees the intelligence community, saying that, it just shows how deeply politics has penetrated even the national security fields, which should be relatively apolitical.
Congresswoman Slotkin, good morning. Jonathan Lemire, you just started to go down the path where I wanted to take you here, and obviously Donald Trump has been charged with crimes for how he has handled these classified documents. But should the U.S. government right now, should the intelligence agencies be just revisiting the whole process of classification? What's classified? What's not? Are things overclassified? Are things underclassified? And do we need a better job of keeping these secrets safe?
Well, look, I think that there are hundreds of thousands of people who have security clearances, who do their job every day, who very meticulously handle that information. When I was a CIA officer, you have a burn bag next to you, and every single day, any intelligence that you've printed out goes in that burn bag. It's incinerated. I mean, we have a process for handling this, and I think that for the average person, they handle it fine. I think what we've seen is a combination of people sort of at the low end of the spectrum who are putting putting out information to make themselves look cool in front of their friends, which needs to be policed up. That access to that information needs to be looked at. But then we have people using it for political reasons, right? And there's a huge, group of people in the middle that are doing their job just fine. There's always been a question of overclassification, but I think for me, I know when I became a member of Congress, you get a clearance, and I remember saying, I don't understand. All we did was sign a little piece of paper saying that we now have security clearance. Where's the training? Where's the requirements? Where's the security officials teaching members of Congress how to handle this information? That certainly can be policed up among political people.
And a lot of people, it appears, need a refresher on all of that. Congresswoman Elissa Slotkin of Michigan, also a former CIA analyst, knows what she's talking about here. Congressman, thanks so much for your time this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you.